Hello friends, Jeff here and welcome to Squadron. Welcome to Squadron Facebook Live. Today we are going to talk about concrete. No, not the concrete outside on the pavement or the base of your house. No, it's more like how to paint concrete. Now recently Squadron Products released a couple new items. One of them is the Siegfried line, or the Atlantic wall kind of obstacles that we have here. The dragon teeth, I'm sure you all know what those are. But they're all made out of concrete, and a lot of people are still a little bit skeptic how to paint that. Next week, well, actually by the end of the month, we start a new line in a way for bunkers. This is like an observation bunker, Atlantic wall, and then we have another observation slash machine gun bunker. So these things are going to come your way soon. Now, that's a lot of concrete. So how do you paint that? Now, it's very easy actually. And when you say, well, yeah, you think it's easy, but for us it's maybe a little bit difficult all that. No, and sometimes you're right. Sometimes when people say, hey, how do you do this? And oh, it's so easy, you slap some paint onto that, and most of the time it's hard. This, however, is very easy. And you can do this with a couple paints, with basically 3 bottles of paint. There's a lot more to it, and I'm going to show you that. I'm going to explain how easy it is to paint these things. And all you need is black, white, and gray. And even if you only use 2 bottles, you can make black and white makes gray. But just to keep it simple, if you have 3 bottles close to you, that should do the trick. And that will take care of at least 90-95% of painting that bunker. The rest is a little bit, maybe some pigments or pastels or some oils, and we'll explain that in this video. It's also going to be very quick, because you will be amazed how quick you can paint this and have a wonderful result. So the reason that it used to be that back in the old days, these things, and some companies still do this, still produce these in plaster of Paris. Now, plaster of Paris has a couple good things going for it. First of all, it absorbs the paint very easily. It's very easy to basically paint, dry brush and all that kind of stuff. But it's also very inexpensive. So it's very easy to fabricate. It's like I said, it's very inexpensive. The only negative thing it has, it is very fragile. So when we ship it or whatever, there's a lot of breakage. So it's very frail, very fragile, and I'm sure you know, you guys out there who are familiar with plaster of Paris, it's very, 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 very fragile. Now these are made out of resin, and the master is made out of it's made out of foam basically, and there is a way to work that it looks exactly like concrete. Now when you pour that, the resin and the silicones that we use really grab absolutely the detail for 100%. So whatever you put into the mold comes out the same way, and it comes out like in a porous way. Not as porous as plaster of Paris, which is actually a good thing. So this is absolutely the perfect medium to reproduce these bunkers. Now it might be maybe a little bit more pricey than anything else, but the result is absolutely fantastic. So I'm going to show you this, how easy and how quick you can paint this bunker. So Nicole, if you could move the camera up here, we'll start. All right, I'm going to put my glasses on because I'm as blind as a bat these days. So first off,
while you're getting started there,
okay.
David Mason is tuned in, Gary Kawabata says hi, Bob DelGiorno, and Mark Hydro are all watching.
All right, hey you guys, thank you for tuning in. Hopefully I'm able to teach you something. Thanks for being loyal customers. So here we go. First of all you need is, like I said before, is 3 paint bottles. I think you can do it with different paint too, but these are acrylic, so I would just stick with this. It's either Tamiya or any other thing you can get out there, but I use the Vallejo ones, and the Vallejo works extremely well on this, and I'll show you why later on. So a black one, a gray one, and a white one. Doesn't have to be the specific number. Just take any black, white, or gray from the Vallejo line, and it will work. And of course, like a little cup for your thinner. You have to have your airbrush thinner or any paint thinner that you have that will work with the Vallejo. Another thing you need is a nice brush, like a flat brush. Like this here is a cat tongue, but you don't really have to get that specific shape as long as you get like a number. What is this? A number 8, as of a number 8, maybe number 6, between 6 and 10. Get one of those, and a soft one. It needs to be a soft one. And then the rest is a couple brushes for special effects later on, but again, we'll talk about that when we go on. A cloth, very important in the process. And then I did bring some pigments in there for finishing off the thing, so that's actually the fun part, and it's also very easy to apply. So first of all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put, let's say, and I also did some preparations for this, so what I'm gonna show here right now is the basic applying of the color of concrete. And it also helps that we produce these resin pieces in like a grayish kind of I don't know what to call this color. What is this? Like gray. It's supposed to be gray, but because the resin originally is like a tan color, adding a gray component makes it this way. So this is already very good. What is it? Like a greenish gray. So this will help too. So first of all, we get our black in a cup here. Spray some in there. Almost empty. And then we add a lot of thinner. Let's make it like a wash kind of a deal. And let's start with this one here. I can't do the whole thing because that will take longer than 20 minutes, but I can show you how quick you can do several sides. So let's start with this side here because there's a bit more detail. So what you do, you just slap it on there. Doesn't matter, don't worry about it.
You need to be humming a little bit there, Jeff.
Humming?
What?
Yeah, I don't want to scare anybody. Might have to add a little bit more black, but I think I had the took an empty bottle.
Do you want me to get some more?
No, we're fine.
So smooth.
Yeah, and you can already see, you can already see that what's going to happen. So now you take a cloth here, like an old t-shirt or something, and just don't wipe it all off, you have a result. Because you want the paint to stay moist in a way. Let me do a little bit of the thing too. And this is also good that the bunker is poured in resin, because if it would be in plaster of Paris, this would already be really be absorbed by the plaster itself, and then you hardly can get it off. So the advantage of doing it in resin is that you basically can access it, and you can benefit from the paint not being sucked into the surface. All right. So the next thing you do is take like a card or something, or a plastic sheet or whatever you have, and you get the gray. Again, any gray is fine. Let's go a little bit on and also with the white. And then you get get a little cup with some clean thinner, just in case. You use the same brush, and you start maybe you have to move from there because like maybe the angle is.
She's got it.
All right. Can you see the whole thing? So what you start doing is, as a matter of fact, actually you should stand here if you can. Yeah, move the camera around because it's easier to show for me too.
Sure.
Or there, that's also fine. Sorry guys. Okay, so what you do is just make downward streaks. That's all you do. And look, you can already see the effect. And if you look at wartime pictures of bunkers, you can also see that there is a lot of the weathering elements play a big role. Rain, snow, wind. And some of the parts of concrete, it will like some sort of a mold that gets on there where it turns black. But again, don't really dry brush, just make very, very soft streaks. And don't worry about too much paint or too little paint, it all will work out at the end.
While you're doing that brushing, shout outs to Mike Ruzicka from Detroit, Mark Saperstein from Georgia is watching. Of course, Jerry Hendrickson's tuned in, and William Leet from New York is watching today.
All right, guys, welcome. All right, now the last coat we're going to do is white. So the same thing, same brush, don't have to rinse it. You add a little white because sometimes when you look at wartime picture or even when you look at bunkers, there's a lot of elements again, and there's also a lot of sometimes like dog poop or not dog poop. What am I saying? Nobody shits on. Oh, I can't say that either. Nobody poops on a bunker, like no dog, but it's bird poop that I meant. Here we go. I'm sorry. So anyway, bird poop. So here you go.
Excrement.
Excrement.
That word's probably all right.
Well, it's out now.
Can never keep you in the box, Jim,
I know.
that's for sure.
So you can already see what's happening here and how simple it is to do this. Just keep making downward streaks because that's how when rain hits it or any moist or anything, it always goes down. And you can make it as dark or as light as you want as long as you keep painting.
Another suggestion would be bird debris.
Oh, bird debris, that's a good one.
Or it's the avian excrement. That was another suggestion. These are all good.
And look how already nice it looks. And we're not even working on this for, what is it, 2-3?
In.
Okay, a little bit.
Your reputation's gone far and wide. Best in Charleston.
All depends where the reputation is coming from. You know? So now, sometimes around here it might be darker because there might be some other elements like rust or something. So you might add a little black here. Let me see if I can get this in there. Should have known. All right, here we go. So you can sometimes add some black in there and then just work it in. And the Vallejo paint, in this case, works perfect. When you see that, it works almost like an oil. And you keep painting while it's moist. You keep painting. Sometimes even when your paint dries up, moisten your brush a little bit, and then it will dissolve. But you want to get those color nuances in there, and especially the streaking effect that it. Now we're going to add a little bit more white here. Just keep blending. You basically have to paint until you're satisfied.
You'll never be done painting then.
No,
How long are we
no.
going today?
True. This is already something, and later on you do some more stuff, and I got some pieces prepared that I can show you. I just want to add maybe a little bit more white there, like here and there, just to get that. Oh, I think you get the drift. And you can make it a little lighter also, because later on, if you really want to go over it with the oils, which I'll demonstrate in a little bit, if you add on more oils, it will become more darker and darker. But I think this was already a good thing to start. You can always come back over it when you think it's getting too dark. You can always keep blending. As long as your paint doesn't dry up completely, or didn't dry up completely, you can always keep blending.
Bob DiGiorno suggests that he can see this working for concrete runways too.
Oh yeah, anything. So I'm gonna stop on this one but I did some preparations yesterday, so this is dry. So once you get to this kind of a deal, and you can tell it was under 5 minutes, we got this result. It's very easy. And so I got a couple things that I pre-painted yesterday, so it's the same thing, as you can tell. So now, if you want to take this a little bit further, we can do a little bit of oil to the equation. Let me get some. I'm going to use some thinner here, enamel thinner. And the best oil to use for this is raw umber. And it's it's from the Uptiling 502. I use that mostly for everything almost. It's always, when I paint something or weather something, I always have that raw umber from Uptiling 502 very close, because that's really been very helpful. So what you do now is you can use the same brush when you wash it, maybe. Wash it out completely, or you can have another one a little bit more shorter, close, because now all you need to do is blend the oil paint. So we're gonna apply a little bit of basically here and there, some streaks we do. Again, don't worry about it if you spill a little here and there. Just make sure that the thing you work on, that it's at least dry for 24 hours, so you don't get in trouble with getting the paint loosen or dissolve. Now, if you have things like this for instance, you can also make like a little pin wash around it. So make it dark, make it more like a shadow effect. See if I can simulate something. Remember the wash we used before? can always put that in there or make it a little dark here. And I'm just demonstrating this. I mean, just to maybe those streaks are not correct there, but I just wanted to show what you can do with oil paint. So now we just blend what we just out there, and don't be afraid to use your fingers.
Mark Hydro had a question. How do you do the flat upper surface weathering wise?
Here on top of the...
Yes.
The same thing. The same thing. If you're talking about the rooftop, it's basically the same thing. And of course there is some dirt on there. Maybe, I don't know if you noticed that, but there is some dirt in there. And that's most of the thing you do with pastels or with pigments. And I'll show you that in a little bit. But the top of the roof, you start maybe do it in several directions, so you don't, because you know it's a flat surface, so you can't do all these streaks in one direction. So you just have to blend more actually, and make sure that you don't get these streaks, but at least that you do the same kind of the same kind of use of paint, and then eventually weather more in different directions. You probably have to use a little bit more thinner to weather it out, but when it dries up, the result will be, again, will be the same. And then the rest, you can camouflage a lot with pastels, or actually, you don't say pastels anymore, it's pigments now. So, and if you really want to, like, maybe a more kind of like a darker streak, you just use more oil on your brush, and then you basically dry brush it all the way. It's very, very easy. So let's say that this is almost done. Let's say that we get the result that we desired. So then
Before we move off that paintbrush, Gary wants to know what size is the large brush in your hand, which would have been
the one I'm in my hand is that's a number 6. It's a number 6, yeah. It's a Catong. It's a good question actually, because the brushes I use are Catongs, you know, and they're made out of Kolinsky mortar. You know, Kolinsky is basically, Kolinsky means it's when you have the animal, the Kolinsky mortar, or not, I'm sorry, the mortar, the hairs on the breast, they call it the Kolinsky area, and of that animal, how do you call those animals who are used for a coat? Like
minks?
Minks, yeah. So on the breast piece of that animal is the softest hair, and also, of course, also the most expensive one. And that's Kolinsky mortar, which means Kolinsky is the brand, but the mortar, I'm sorry, I have to rephrase this. The Kolinsky is the area where the hairs are harvested from. So that's what they put in those brushes. That's why those brushes are always the most expensive one. But if you take care of them, they last for a long time. If you decide to buy those things, buy a couple. Buy not only one, but buy 2 or 3 if you can, if you have the budget for it. But they last you a long time if you rotate them. And the shorter they get, the more worn out they get, the better they work. So you can't lose with these brushes. They cost a little bit more, but they're the best out there. But for this kind of a work, I mean, you can almost use any brush, even if they are synthetic or anything. Anything that is soft will do the trick. So now let's say that we will add some pigments to it, and I'm I'm going to use some another Vallejo pigment. Again, doesn't matter. It all depends where the bunker is located. If it's in a sandy area, you have to get different colors. If it's in Russia, if it's in Germany, you have to study what kind of earth or dirt was around the bunker, and then you apply some pigment that matches. So I'm just going to do it for demonstrative. How do you say that?
Demonstrative purposes.
Demonstrative purposes. Just going to add some around. And that also brings some more color in the equation. You know, it's not all that gray. You can also use green pigments to simulate moss.
Patrick McCarthy is tuned in and says hi.
Hello, Patrick. See, you can already see all the nuances, and then maybe to top it off, I use a little bit of again, it's a Vallejo pigment. It's light slate gray, and this I would start from the top in a way, just to get some downward. Not too much. Don't do it too much. Just lightly, gently. Let it come down. And if it's too much, you can easily brush it back off in a way. And that's about it. It's also very colorful, but my hand is too shaky today. Sometimes every bunkers, they have like numbers and letters. Maybe you can find an old decal, and you can always put like a white letter, like bunker number 1. You have to look at pictures, but most of the time bunkers will have some sort of a code, and that also will, how shall I say, that will also bring a little bit more color into the equation, that you have at least a little bit more variations of color. So making a number here and there will always add to the detail and to the realistic effect. Same thing with this. I can't paint it right now because I'm still, but you paint this, let's say this is a ventilation, you know, those guys were cooped up in there, sometimes got pretty hot, and they didn't have air conditioning, so what they have was like a ventilation to the outside, and those things were usually rusted. So you can paint this black and then add some stuff on there to make it rusty looking, and that also brings some different, it will at least bring a little bit more color into it than the gray itself. But coming back to this all, and I think I got it here somewhere, look at this, same thing. It's also a piece I was preparing, but you can tell it looks very, very realistic with not much trouble. It doesn't cost much effort. You don't have to invest in a whole lot of paint or anything. If you have 3 colors, you're already more than halfway. The same thing with these. I'll do one more. These are the dragon teeth that we're selling. And it's the same principle, very easy to paint. So if you say, I'm not really so interested in a bunker, but I really would like to get a couple of those sets to make like the Siegfried line, it's the same thing. You just paint it black.
Jan Dorn Johansson is tuned in.
Oh, hey Jan. Is a regular. Okay. Gently wipe it off. Don't really start rubbing it. No, you just dab most of the moist up, and you can create almost half of your effect by just wiping it clean, or at least partially. And then again, you start with the gray again. And as you can tell, I'm already almost done. Now we blend some white in there, and this is all done without a primer or anything. But I found out that Vallejo, to me, is the best to do this. There's a little bit more flexibility, I guess. And that's basically about it. And I got some samples here, I think. Let me try something. Well, actually, I can do it on here too. Let's say we'll apply a little bit of the oils, left and right. See, it's very, very easy to do. And you really, really don't have to be afraid of that. And also, once these things are put into a diorama and next to a vehicle, the result is fantastic and you don't have to do a lot of work. So here you go. So if you put this next to it. So and that's about it. That's about it in a nutshell. If you have any questions, now's the time to ask me. But there is really not much to it.
No questions so far.
It's a very simplistic procedure, and you can get a lot of result in a very short time. We've been here, what is it? Well, almost half an hour. But again, if I wouldn't do so much talking and all that, and I got everything better prepared, I mean, I can paint a bunker at least under an hour, and that's all you need. And it looks pretty realistic. I don't know if the camera did justice to it, but when I look at this,
it was pretty clear.
It really looked it really looks very, very realistic. So, again, hope you learned something. Then some of the other stuff. Next week we're gonna have Frank Landers over as a guest again. You all know Frank, or the people at least that live in the area here. We all know Frank Landers. He's a very veteran modeler, and he has a lot of good stuff to tell you, at least more than I know. But next week we're gonna do some sort of like mishaps. You know, if you have problems. So I would like to reach out right now. Like, let's say that you have a problem with or an issue with modeling. You ruined something, or you said, "How can I fix this?" So if you have like a modeling mishap, then now is the time to leave it in the comment section, so I can read it and think about it, and maybe I'll have an answer, or me and Frank will have an answer by next week. So guys, if you think about something and you say, well, you know what, I have this issue as far as modeling, not other issues, because I can't help you there. But if you have like some sort of an issue with a canopy or with a panel line or anything, or you spilled glue or whatever, let me know, and maybe I can answer your question, or me and Frank, of course, can answer your question next week. Also on top of the, yes.
We have had 2 questions come through.
Oh, okay.
So since we're still on this topic,
Uh-huh.
First of all, Mark Ruzicka would like to know if you've ever done this with Liquitex acrylics.
No. Honestly, it used to be in the old days. It was all about dry brushing. You know, we started doing like a dark brown undercoat, and then we start dry brushing. But the only thing I'm familiar with that I used to before this were enamels, and it works fine. But this and I'm sure whatever paint you use and you're familiar with, I'm sure it will work. I'm just showing you a way, or one of the ways to do it, that you can do it very simple with three colors, and I'm sure any acrylic will work.
And then the second question is, sorry, I was answering the question about the paintbrush. Hold on one second. We have, let's see here. They want to have us post some pictures afterwards, so Jeff, you sent me that couple.
Oh, okay.
You can show me the side, or send me what you did today and I'll
Oh,
post
okay, I
those.
can do that.
And the last question I have here, is there any need to seal it? David Mason wanted to know if there's any need to seal it.
No. Very good question. Sealing it, it's not necessary, because once you put the pastel, I keep saying pastels, but once you put the pigments on, I don't know if you're familiar with that, but once you put the pigments on and you seal it, most of the work will go away. A lot of the, and this is a general answer to it's basically a general answer for everything. Once you start weathering, once you're done with the weathering and you're absolutely done with the last streak and drop and whatever you put on there, the pigments, the oils, once you're done with that, walk away from it, because sealing it might ruin half of your work, because a sealer will make it dull, and you want to get the nuances, you want to keep the depth perception, you want to keep all the detail that you paint on there, and putting a sealer on top of it will ruin everything, especially with pigments. They will almost all go away, or the result will all go away. So no sealer. If you have some glossy spots or anything, eventually they will dry out. Trust me, sometimes you have like a little sheen because of too much oil or anything, and it bothers you. 2-3 weeks from now, they will all eventually evaporate. So no sealer. And then last but not least, I think we have an action going on. Again, share everything with your friends and family. Go to our website regularly. So for this weekend, as of tomorrow, or is it tomorrow?
Starts tomorrow.
Starts tomorrow. We have an extra 25% off on your cart. So whatever you put in your shopping cart, when you check out, you get an extra 25% off your shopping cart.
If you're stuck in the house, it's a great time.
Oh yeah. And then again, we all know, I hate to say the C word, if you can call it that way, the coronavirus. You know what? This is my personal opinion. You know what? Don't go ballistic. The chance that you're going to get it is very small. I know it's a big thing, but I don't really buy it that it's really that we're all going to die. So don't worry too much about it. Just be careful. Just don't sneeze on anybody or prevent to be sneezed upon. But wash your hands, of course, like I'm gonna do. But again, like I said, it will all blow over in time. Don't participate in the mass hype. Don't buy too much toilet paper. It's just crazy. Well, there isn't any. So, bottom line, I know it's out there. I know the whole world freaks out, but it's not as bad than you think it is. And there's a couple idiots out there that would say something and they get away with scaring the whole world. So just be careful. Just be careful. Stay inside. Of course, if you're locked up in the house, this is the perfect time to build a model. You know. Again, stop with my ranting. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you have any questions, like I said. Next week we're going to do this modeling mishaps, so if you have a question, please let me know, so I at least get... Oh my God, I forgot the damn it. Sorry, I forgot the most important thing of it all, the drawing. So last week we presented this to be raffled off, so okay, well, go ahead, draw one. We'll draw a number. I apologize. See, that's what the coronavirus does to me too. Okay, the lucky winner of this Hobby Boss F14D Super Tomcat in 7-second scale is Mr. Chris McLean. So Chris, if you're watching this, please let us know where you live, and I will personally bring it to your door. No, I'm just kidding. Please contact our customer service department or leave us a note either on the comment section or in an email, and we'll get that thing out to you as soon as possible. For next week's drawing, we're raffling off a Dragon kit. It's the Panzer BOWAG Squadron Aus14H. It's based on a Panzer III. So we're raffling that one off. Again, you know the drill. Leave a comment in the comment section, either now during the live session or during the one that you go back to later on Facebook or on YouTube. Leave something in the comment section and you will be eligible to put your name in the bag and to win this thing next week. Other than that, I'm going to be out of here. I wish you all the very best again. Don't panic. And I'll see you guys next week, 12 o'clock Central. Jeffy here, signing off.